Discover the advantage of unlimited access to all the stories and resources from IBJ and Inside Indiana Business. From insights to inspiration, business leaders rely on the IBJ for all things Indiana business. Start your $1 a week trial now at ibj.com/trial offer.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand for Friday, December 19th, 2025. I'm Gary Dick. As the Chicago Bears expand their search for a new stadium site, State Representative Earl Harris of East Chicago says Northwest Indiana has the framework in place for a pro sports franchise. The Bears confirmed this week the team is evaluating locations for its stadium, including in Northwest Indiana, after Illinois lawmakers declined to support infrastructure funding tied to a proposed stadium in Arlington Heights, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago.
Do you have space? The answer is yes, we have space. Between the multiple cities, and there's probably some other space I'm not thinking about in the other cities, between the multiple cities we have in Northwest Indiana, finding a home is not going to be hard.
Fort Wayne has marked the start of construction on the Eddy, a $45 million mixed-use development in the city's downtown. When complete, the project will include 111 market-rate apartments, a parking garage, and about 3,300 square feet of ground floor retail space. Michigan-based Herbrick's Poultry Ranch is investing more than $20 million to build a new egg processing facility in Kendallville. That's about 30 miles northwest of Fort Wayne. When complete next spring, the project expected to create about 60 jobs. From the state's #1 source for Indiana business news, you're listening to Inside Indiana Business Radio. Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick, coming to you this week from Northwest Indiana, Jeffersonville, Muncie, South Bend, in downtown Evansville, Terre Haute, Fort Wayne, Richmond, from one of the state's key entrepreneurial and innovation hubs, 16 Tech. Inside Indiana Business, Indiana's business news leader. The Indiana Supreme Court has blocked the revival of a lawsuit brought by an Olympic track and field athlete against USA Track and Field after she collapsed from heat-related injuries at the 2021 U.S. Olympic trials.
The justices held that Marion Superior Court Judge Patrick Dietrich properly denied heptathlete Talia Brooks' attempt to amend her complaint after the court had already ruled in favor of Indianapolis-based USA Track and Field. However, the state's high court emphasized that its decision turned on procedure rather than the merits of Brooks' underlying claims. She had argued that a liability waiver she signed with USA Track and Field should not apply because the governing body was negligent when it failed to delay the Olympic qualifying trials to avoid the excessive heat. Brooks collapsed from heat-related injuries during the second day of the U.S. Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon in June 2021. Track surface temperatures exceeded 140 degrees. She was unable to finish the event and did not make the Olympic team that year. In November 2022, Brooks sued USA Track and Field, seeking a declaratory judgment that a waiver and indemnity agreement she signed before the trials was unenforceable. The trial court granted summary judgment in favor of USA Track and Field in June 2023, finding the waiver enforceable. The Supreme Court affirmed the trial court's ruling. Alex Brown, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Switzerland-based Dormakaba Group, which has its North American headquarters in Indianapolis, plans to acquire Clarksville-based Avant-Garde Systems. Financial details of the transaction not disclosed. Dormakaba makes entrance and security products and has more than 15,000 global employees. A week after Martin University announced that it would pause operations at the end of the current semester, the university has terminated all staff and is encouraging students to transfer to other local colleges. In a meeting with staff, interim president Felicia Brokaw told employees the university was terminating them because there are no funds to pay them, including for hours already worked. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
Curious about what's shaping law in Indiana? From court reforms and NIL rights to mental health courts and energy commissions, the Indiana Lawyer Podcast breaks down the biggest legal issues of our time. I'm your host, reporter Maura Johnson. Join me every other week for your insider guide to what matters in law and why it impacts you. Subscribe now in your favorite podcast app or at ibjpodcasts.com.
Do you want to know what really drives change in Indiana? You won't find it in sound bites, you'll find it in stories. Stories from CEOs, lawyers, coaches, entrepreneurs, and community advocates. That's the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Insightful, local, impactful. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcast.com.